Alright, so hi guys. So question number 1, discuss the role of each of the 4 main groups of history on the drug use and abuse in the US. So the 4 main groups are federal and state governments, pharmaceutical companies, medical doctors, and poor minority Americans. So a little bit on the medical doctors. So it all started with a German chemist trying to figure out how to isolate morphine from opium. He was successful, obviously. And then morphine made its way into many different medical products distributed in the US. And it wasn't hard at all to get these products. Some of them were just over the counter. And then soon after this, America experienced its first opioid crisis. And the general population in the US was way too overexposed to opioids and just over-advertised in general by pharmaceutical companies. These companies knew that in the later years, they knew that these drugs were highly addictive, but still chose to advertise it. And they also knew that people would start to become tolerant of the drug and start to need more and more of it. But still, basically, they were in it for the money and didn't really care as much about people being addicted to their drugs. Back to medical doctors. It started going into some pretty serious extents for people to get these drugs. Sometimes they had to stop in their doctor's office multiple times a day to get morphine injections. And then heroin was introduced as a better alternative to morphine. But at the end of the day, heroin was found not to be a great alternative at all. Poor minority Americans were also a little bit later to using these drugs, but it was still a huge issue. And they were fully able to purchase pharmacy-grade heroin tablets and, either snort them or whatever. And this was used in non-medical recreational ways. The federal and state governments also played a big role in this. In 1914, the drug epidemics were so severe that they finally stepped in. They tried passing laws to decrease recreational use and prescribing of these narcotics. So after this, opioid addiction did decline after some of these laws were passed. But after World War II, there was another opioid epidemic. But the second time we saw this happen, it did heavily affect minority groups in inner city areas, which is where we see more minority groups becoming addicted to this drug and needing more and more of it, and it's not good. So overall, these drugs should only be used for short-term pain, severe pain, or end-of-life care, and they later realized that. So for number 2, of the 4 groups who has more responsibility, I would say definitely medical doctors more than anyone else, because they're the ones that kept basically making and prescribing these drugs with not enough research or knowledge, information about the drug and how it can be very addictive, and that it's just not a good drug to prescribe for just some back pain. So yeah, I would definitely say medical doctors. That's all.